Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a very delicious looking video. It's called Iconic Swedish Foods You Need to Try Before You Die. So I have to admit, I don't really know much about Swedish food, and like I think the only thing I'm remotely familiar with is like the IKEA meatballs, and I don't even know, like I don't think IKEA has anything to do with them. Like I'm pretty sure they eat like meatballs. That's like a national type of food. But I don't really know anything about Swedish food. So I can't wait to find out what exactly is Swedish cuisine composed of. And yeah, maybe we'll try it at some point. So let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe.
If you love delicious cakes, pastries, and fresh seafood, you should know that those IKEA meatballs are just the start of what Swedish cuisine has to offer. We're sure you're more than familiar with the concept of Swedish meatballs, whether you've had them foisted upon you by a cocktail waiter at some formal event or sampled some while browsing furniture at IKEA. After all, more than 2 million meatballs are eaten daily at IKEA's stores worldwide, meaning many of us have already tried the iconic köttbullar during our lives. One of the best aspects of köttbullar, or Swedish meatballs, is the immense variety of ways in which it can be prepared. There doesn't appear to be much in the way of hard and fast rules required to categorize or define Swedish meatballs. Frankly, the only required ingredient for köttbullar, according to the Swedish Institute, is love. Actually, there is one other prerequisite to enjoying a truly authentic Swedish köttbullar: lingonberries, which are served on the side.
For me, the meatball is so much the IKEA culture. It's convenient, it's Swedish, and pretty much for everybody.
Okay, I like that.
Some may call the Swedish food knäckebröd a crisp bread. Others, not unreasonably, may choose to classify it as a cracker. Setting semantics aside, this relic from historically impoverished times in Sweden has remained a staple because it is easily stored, has a long shelf life, and offers immense versatility. Knäckebröd can be enjoyed as a snack or as part of a meal, and is an oft-included addition to Swedish smorgasbords throughout the year. When you consider it can be topped with any variety of delectable items, both sweet and savory, from pickled herring to jelly, it's obvious why this crisp bread has endured for roughly 500 years. For anyone doubting the veracity of knäckebröd's claim as an iconic Swedish food, don't just take our word for it. Take it from IKEA. Alongside its beloved meatballs, the company also sells knäckebröd. If we're being honest, no other Swedish food may be easier for the US palate to handle than pyttipanna, which is essentially just a meat and potato breakfast hash made with leftover food items. The simplicity of pyttipanna makes it a clear winner in homes throughout Sweden. Who can resist the simple yet delicious combination of eggs, potatoes, and meat? Not only does pyttipanna contain a flavor profile suited to US taste preferences, it is also fairly easy to prepare. It involves little more than sautéing everything but the eggs in a single pan before frying the eggs separately to place on top of the dish. Trying pyttipanna should be on any list of iconic Swedish foods to try. It's often credited as being one of the dishes that define Swedish home cooking. And it's no wonder. It's warm, hearty, versatile, and a complete win. Frankly, the idea of a sandwich cake can be tough to wrap your head around. So is the entire notion of a savory cake, which is what smorgastorta is. Of course, since a cake is nothing more than a vessel to contain a combination of flavors, it's no surprise that cakes can work with savory ingredients. As long as you can get over any initial reservations, you'd do well to try this savory sensation from Sweden before you die. And while it may not resemble any sandwich you're used to seeing, there's something to be said for experiencing something completely unexpected. Part of the appeal of smorgastorta is that it's served cold, which allows for preparation well in advance of any guests arriving to devour your beautiful concoction. It's also easier to prepare than its intimidating presentation would suggest. Sweden has been a sovereign nation.
Yeah, I have to say, I think I have something similar. I would have liked to see how they actually made this, but the similar dish that I'm sort of like thinking of is like they put like little pieces of, it's bread, but not like a baguette. It's sort of like white bread, I think, and they just sort of like place it on a tray, and then you put like stuff on it. I think I saw like lettuce, vegetables. I think I saw even like gravlax. You just prepare your filling, and then it's like layers of that sort of like thin white bread. And then you sort of like cover it in mayo, I think, and lettuce apparently, and then you put a lot of things on top. I think I've had that. That's maybe a little bit familiar, I think, but it looks good.
since 1523, and with such a long history, it's not surprising that many traditional foods have remained prevalent through the years, even though modern culinary capabilities have rendered moot some preserved items such as pickled herring. Despite the seemingly unappealing appearance and the notion of pickled herring, it remains an essential component of Swedish smorgasbords. As noted in the book, Treasured Recipes of Our American and Swedish Kitchens, pickled herring ranks as the most important of all Swedish smorgasbord dishes. All the others can be or not be, but the herring is a must item.
It's a must.
It may seem odd to enjoy herring prepared through pickling, but according to Visit Sweden, this centuries-old method of extending a freshly caught fish's shelf life proved both cost-effective and tasty. And with such a long track record of satisfying Swedes, the continued popularity of pickled herring proves the old notion. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Of course.
Lutefisk is, of course,
because it's fish, right? But the thing that's like throwing me off is the fact that it has like the skin, and it's just like, is it raw? Do they cook this first? Because I'm guessing they have vinegar because it's pickled. So the vinegar is supposed to probably like lemon juice is gonna cook the fish, like, you know, like I don't know, like similar dishes. But I think what's like the thing that says visually is not that appealing to me. I think it's the skin and the fact that it's just like the whole fillet. Like I think if it was just like cut up in like little pieces, like I don't know, like sushi or a ceviche or something like that, I think it would be more of a shock, less of a shock and more palatable. I think I don't know.
Of course, the almost unbelievably odd dish that's famous, or rather infamous, as a traditional holiday meal in Nordic communities throughout the Midwest. And while lutefisk's origins clearly lie in Scandinavia, it may actually be more popular with Swedish immigrants and their descendants in the U.S. than with native Swedes, according to Smithsonian.
Okay, so they don't have
the borderline poisonous preparation technique for lutefisk involves preserving cod in lye.
Lye?
Yes, lye, as in the corrosive chemical often used in cleaning.
Do not eat
Use of lye in preparing lutefisk results in a gelatinous final product that emits a near suffocating fishy stench. Preparing and eating any food product in such a way may seem dangerous, but it's been done for a long time and serves as a powerful symbol. Once prepped, preserved.
Okay, I'm sorry, but there's a lot of things that have been done throughout centuries that are still poisonous and harmful. Like, there's a reason why we ban like lead paintings and I don't know, like other harmful chemicals. So just because it had been done for like hundreds of years, it doesn't mean you should be doing this these days. Isn't that allowed? I would think that's forbidden. I don't know. Just stop eating lye.
And eaten out of necessity, it's now a way to look back on ancestral
but we're not eating meat anymore.
Literally taste how far we've come. And yes, there's a good chance lutefisk is a dish you're not likely to love. But given its unique history, preparation, and taste, texture, smell combination, it's something worth trying when you have the chance, even just once.
You know, I always say, well, when your taste buds die, well, then you like lutefisk.
The origin of some traditions can be easy to trace. History has recorded just why things started, who started them, and why those precise things, or something close to it, continues to pop up over and over.
Tradition is tradition.
But the passage of time often obscures the truth about how something started. This is particularly true when talking about food duos that seem made for each other. One of those duos is Sweden's traditional Thursday lunch, Archopo och pannkakor. That we don't know where or how this classic combo was created doesn't diminish its appeal or ability to satisfy. Perhaps akin to grilled cheese and tomato soup in the US, Archopo och pannkakor has been a simple and consistent staple in Sweden for ages. It is served everywhere in Sweden at lunchtime on Thursdays. How it became such a staple remains unclear. There are a number of explanations offered for the place of Archopo och pannkakor in Swedish culture, including being derived from military customs or emerging from religiously imposed dining restrictions.
Oh my God,
but when you're dipping your pancake into that perfect pea soup and all your worries seem to melt away, does it really matter?
Why is it yellow?
If you're the type of person who views food and eating as a communal event to experience together, you need to prioritize attending an authentic kraftskilva, or crayfish party, before you die. There, you'll have a chance to try kraftor. Given that kraftor is simply crayfish, some of you may believe you can check this one off your list already, but to truly experience this iconic Swedish seafood, you need to do so at a kraftskilva. A tradition for nearly a century, the so-called crayfish party involves plenty of kraftor, festive hats and bibs, singing, and general revelry.
You have to have the
Additionally, there are several varieties of both salt and freshwater crayfish species in Sweden. Even without the hullabaloo of kraftskilva, kraftor remains an iconic Swedish food worth trying.
Looks fun.
Sweden has one of the highest life expectancies in the world, with Swedes living a whopping 5 years longer than people in the United States. That makes it hard to argue with the assessment that Sweden is an exceptionally healthy country, but there are still some Swedish desserts you need to try during your lifetime. At the top of that list is ostkaka. The name of this delectable dessert literally translates to cheesecake, but it's not nearly as heavy or rich as what an American palate might be used to. That's not to say ostkaka is a healthy dessert option. It may not be quite as decadent as some cheesecakes, but ostkaka isn't something that should show up on a daily meal plan. And here's the thing. Don't worry about how ostkaka compares to U.S. desserts. Rather, just trust us when we tell you that if the opportunity presents itself, you should make a point to try it for yourself.
I would love to try this. Cheesecake
While we
is good.
do consider ourselves somewhat of an authority on all things food-related, we're inclined to defer to the experts whenever possible. So don't take our word that Rex Morgus, an open-faced shrimp sandwich, is an iconic Swedish food worth trying before you die. Instead, take it from internationally renowned celebrity chef Marcus Samuelsson, who once wrote on Instagram, "There's nothing more Swedish or delicious as this Rex Morgus." So that's it, right? If the longtime Chopped judge's declaration isn't enough to prompt you to seek it out, we're not sure anything else can. So unless you're less than enthralled with shrimp, or if you have a shellfish allergy, which is...
I'm concerned, given the history, that that this is raw. That's my number one concern. But if it's cooked, then I'm all for it.
It's a fair reason to avoid it. There's little reason to think you'd be anything but satisfied with this simple sandwich.
Are they
With
cooked?
more than 2,000 miles of coastline, it's easy to understand why seafood has played such a large role in Swedish culture and cooking throughout history. After all, before the importing and exporting of foods from around the world was commonplace, you could only eat what was available to you. As a result, gravlax, or dill-cured salmon, has become a Swedish staple. Similar to pickled herring, gravlax likely originated from the need to extend the shelf life of freshly caught fish through various curing techniques. Yet its subtle and light flavor had ensured it endured through the years, even when better preservation and cooking methods became available.
Because it's delicious.
Some may believe gravlax is like any other cured salmon. Some may believe they've already tried gravlax if they've eaten lox. But gravlax is prepared with less salt than lox and incorporates sugar and dill during the curing process. In other words, it's not the same.
No.
What's in a name?
It's
a lot if the alleged history of the iconic Swedish dessert Princess Tårta is to be believed. Some of the facts are indisputable. It was created by royal family tutor Jenny A. Kerstrom, and it made its first appearance under the original name Green Cake in the 1948 edition of the cookbook, The Princess Cookbook, Home Cooking and Holiday Food. And while many agree that eating Princess Tårta is a rare treat, its popularity may not be solely owed to its fantastic flavor. In fact, some speculate that the dessert's early rebranding from Green Cake to the more elegant Princess title is largely responsible for it becoming a cultural icon. Whether or not that's true is unclear. What is known, however, is that the cake includes a signature outer layer of green-colored marzipan and has been a widely enjoyed dessert for decades. Occasionally, the evolution of a culinary tradition is easy to track. Sure, the how isn't always entirely clear, but when it comes to why some foods become ingrained into a society, the answer can be quite obvious, as in the case of semla. After the nationally beloved Swedish pastry first found footing as a Fat Tuesday exclusive treat the night before the start of Lent, the Swedish Institute says that the baked good is now commonly available every day from Christmas through Easter. So, what are they? A cardamom-flavored baked bun split in half and filled with almond paste and whipped cream. Resembling a gigantic cream puff, semla can be eaten however your heart desires. According to Visit Sweden, though, the traditional method involves using the bun's top half to eat the oozing cream filling before devouring the remainder. Swedish culinary preferences tend to lean towards lighter, less rich fare. But like any rule, there are always exceptions. And the moist, uber-rich kladdkaka or chocolate sticky cake certainly fits that bill. In a lot of ways, actually, kladdkaka is less of a cake per se and more of a cake-shaped brownie. The tremendously dense chocolate goodie is almost unbelievably easy to make with a short list of ingredients that are simply mixed, poured, and ready to bake. Additionally, slightly underbaking your kladdkaka will lead to an eminently memorable final product, creating a gooier than normal center that perfectly complements and contrasts its external texture. Honestly, we're not sure how to sell you any further on kladdkaka. Go find a slice of Sweden's chocolate sticky cake and you'll die a happy person.
Yeah, well, hopefully we're not dying soon, but yeah. Okay, I love this. Now I want to try I want to try a lot of dishes actually. I think obviously to make the full experience, I think you would always need to go to Sweden and actually experience and actually have those dishes, either in a traditional, with Swedish people, as in like someone invites you to their home and prepares those dishes for you, or at a restaurant. But I think the desserts ones, I think those were probably my favorite ones. Like the obviously the sticky chocolate cake looks delicious. Who doesn't love chocolate? That looks delicious. I want to look up the recipe, because I think they mentioned like it's easy. Like it's easy enough. You probably already have the ingredients at hand. And I'm gonna look up the ingredients, and if I have them, I'm definitely gonna make one of those like soon, because it looks delicious and I want to have them. The semla one, I thought there's like a lot of like similar dishes in other countries that I've seen. It's like, yeah, so it's like a cream puff. But I think what makes it different is obviously the way that it's sort of like apparently it's eaten, that you have to like the top part, like you put it like a sandwich basically. I don't think I've seen that, that's peculiar. And obviously I think it was like almond, like the cardamom cake, like the actual part of the cake, it's cardamom. I think that's obviously very different, and it has almonds on it, which I think the others are they're just cream puff, as in like just it's just whipped cream, I think, actually, or it's the other cream that's like sort of like a meringue, but not really. I think that's it's different. That's my point. But that one looked good as well. And the green cake one, they don't really mention what they have. Like it's like marzipan and it's green, because obviously it's like very like the distinctive look of this cake. It's it's gotta be green, so you have to put like some green dye on the cake. But I would love to have seen like what do they actually have. What's the taste like? I'm guessing a vanilla cake with, I saw some sort of like jelly situation maybe, but I don't really know what sort of fruit they do, or maybe they just change it up. I would have loved to have seen what it tastes like, because obviously it's very distinct. Now if in the future I ever encounter this sort of like, because it's very distinct. I liked also that it was like they had like the little, like, I don't know, for maybe like an event or something, or maybe in like bakeries they sell, because maybe you're not gonna have like a whole cake, and but apparently it's tradition, so you're like, no, I need to have like one of those little things. It's like a little cupcake, but it's obviously like it's the cake. And so I know in the future now, because again it's very distinct, so even if it's like a giant cake or those little like mini cakes, I'm gonna know, oh, that's the Swedish cake, because it is very particular, and it has a little red rose on top. It looks very beautiful, I have to say. Like visually it's very pretty, and it's like you almost do not want to eat it, because when things are like so pretty, like in that sort of like they have like food colorants, and they have like the little red rose, it's like I don't want to eat it because it looks so pretty. I just want to take a picture of it. But obviously it's made like that. But it's such a shame that people, obviously, like, I know it's obviously it's the baker's point that yes, they work too hard on this, but obviously it's for you to like say, wow, this is beautiful, and then eat it. But it's like, oh, what a shame that someone actually worked that hard on this, and then I'm going to destroy it because I'm going to eat it. So it makes me a little bit like, I don't want to eat it because it's so pretty. But yes, I know that. I think it's actually quite funny, like a side note, that the whole sort of like Swedish language, like I would before, well, still I would say like it's pretty hard language, but I think it's funny that a lot of these words are like, oh, sort of semi-recognizable, because it says like tarta, which is always its cake. There was like the cookbook, and it was like written weird, but I could see that it was a cookbook. And there was another dish that I can't remember the name, but it was like what I would assume is translated to like soup and pancake, which was also one of those that looked quite good as well. I could see like so it's similar, obviously not the same thing, but as like a tomato and a tomato soup and a sandwich, because it was like you apparently dip your little pancake, your little sandwich, you dip it into the soup. I didn't really understood what apparently was pea soup, but it was sort of yellow, if I'm not mistaken. And again, maybe peas, they come in different colors. Maybe that's the thing. I've never encountered other peas that are not green, but I don't know. Maybe I misunderstood. But I think I didn't really know actually if the pancake as well has some other filling, or is it just, I don't know, they put cheese? I don't know. Like it was like I don't think it's a pancake. I think it's more or even a sandwich. It's more maybe like a crepe, I think. It's because it's like thin layers and, you know, it's sort of like, you sort of flip it. That one looked very good as well. The Lufskik, it's funny that they were like, no, it's not, you know, they were like, no, it tastes very good. I don't know if I would try it, probably, yes. I would venture to try it, because visually, it's not that bad. Like, it just looks like a fish, sort of like a fillet, and, you know, okay, like, I could have that. Probably if you hadn't told me that they use lye, I would have been more open to the situation, because I would just see a fish, and I would be like, yeah, sure, why wouldn't I have this? But once, obviously, she explained the whole thing of, like, no, they use lye. It's like, oh, well, now I'm sure if I want to taste this, am I going to be poisoned? Like, is it going to be harmful? I don't really understand. Like, again, if people eat this, like, apparently it's a tradition and people eat this, like, you know, yearly, it's not going to be that bad, right? Because it's like, no, it's not going to kill you. People eat this, like, every day, or maybe not every day, but, you know, they eat it a couple of times a year. Apparently it's not that bad, but, you know, I'm still concerned. I would maybe try it. Yes, I think I would try it. Just like a little piece, because how harmful can it be really to one piece? But I'm a little concerned because not just the lye, because I'm guessing you don't actually taste the lye. Although, again, I've never actually had lye because I'm not in the habit of consuming harmful chemicals. But I'm concerned by the one man that sort of like they interviewed. He was like, this is not good. So I don't know, like, how bad could it be? It's just fish, right? But apparently it's because it's still raw. I don't know. I'm thinking the raw fish situation is a little, like, I don't know. Because again, it's maybe a little bit like hypocritical of me, because it's like, if you have sushi and you have other types of like raw fish, it's, you know, it's good, right? It's not like, oh, you know, raw fish is like a hard limit for me. No, you know, you eat other types of raw fish. So I don't really know what is it about like the Swedish kind of like situation that's throwing me off of like, oh my God, it's raw. And again, gravlax is good, and I don't think that's cooked either. So again, it's maybe, I think the whole thing is just like the visual. I think people, sadly, at least I know that I'm a very like visual person. So if I see that, it's not gonna be like, well, it doesn't look that good. I seem like, wow, I don't want to eat this. So that's why I think the Lufskik is like, it doesn't look that bad because it looks like a normal fish. And the gravlax, it doesn't look bad either because I think it's just like thinly sliced. And the fact that it's thinly sliced is making you like, yeah, sure, it looks like, I don't know, a cold meat or something like, I don't know, it's just a cold cut. It just like, it looks like ham. So, you know, it doesn't really look like that weird as it's something that you would consume otherwise, and because I've had it and I know that it's good. But I think the only one that I'm like, wow, the pickled herring one, like I don't really know about that. That one's probably the one that I would be like, I would definitely, you know, I would have to think about consuming this. But again, it's not, maybe it's good. I have no doubt that it's probably going to be good. But it's just like the fact that the fish is like, it's a whole fish. It's just like, I don't know if I can do that actually. Maybe you put it in a sandwich and I'm not actually seeing the little fish. Maybe I would be more open to it. And I think they probably have it like that way as well. I don't think they just like take it out of the can or whatever, or they prepare this and they just give you a fillet and that's it, right? I don't think it's that. I think they give you like they prepare a sandwich or something, or, you know, something of the sort. But I have to say, the whole situation with like the little pickled herring and the onion, and it's just like, and I don't know if they also have pickles. It's intense, I would say. You know, the onions plus the raw fish, and it's pickled, and plus pickles, although pickles are delicious. But I think those things together, even like, I don't know, raw, I don't know if the onions are raw as well, or raw onions are also like a whole situation as well. So this whole dish is just like a little way too intense, I think, for me. Like, it's just like, again, it's intense. You know, again, maybe I'm off because I've never had it, but just visually seeing all the ingredients, like, you know, like that, I'm like, wow, it looks like quite intense, you know, with the onions and the pickled fish and the lemon, and also again the vinegar and more pickles. It's just like, it's a whole thing. But I think I'm gonna finish up by saying the little bread situation, it looked like a saltine. I don't even know if you could call it a bread because it looked more like a cracker, and they were like, yeah, it's sort of like a cracker. I think I'm also gonna look up the recipe because it looked also very good, and I don't think it looked that hard to make like at home, especially because they were mentioning, yeah, it's sort of like it's a leftover of like when times were hard and they didn't really have anything like to eat. So how hard could it be? I'm guessing it's just like flour, salt, and some other situation, maybe like, I don't know, not butter, not milk, because probably those things were scarce. So I don't know what, maybe it's just water. It would be more like those Scottish, I can't remember the name of those Scottish, like the pancakes, I think they were called. Maybe it wasn't bannocks. I think it's bannocks. That it was like, they made it, I think, with like, I think it's oatmeal, and they sort of like, they had that way back in the day because, you know, they needed something that was preserved, and they didn't really took a lot of ingredients because obviously it was harsh times. So I think it was similar to the bannock cake in Scotland. So like, I don't think it's that could be like, I don't know, I don't want to try it, and I'm gonna look it up and see if I can make it at home because it doesn't look that hard. Hopefully I'm not wrong. You know? And they don't really use a lot of like really weird or, you know, very not weird, but maybe like difficult to find ingredients. But yes, I love this video and now I'm hungry. But that was it for today, and I'll see you soon. Bye.